Okay, let's just dive right into this. We're going to unpack a seriously profound, truly timeless guide to human happiness. Specifically, we're looking at the incredible wisdom packed into verses 25 to 35 of chapter 13 of the Gita. And look, what we have here, it isn't just abstract philosophy. No, it's a highly practical, step-by-step journey. A journey designed to literally take us from the everyday suffering we all experience straight to a state of ultimate, unshakable joy.
To get there, we'll be following a clear 5-step roadmap. 1. The path to joy. 2. Refining action and mind. 3. The 3 stages of knowledge. 4. The observer and observed. And finally, 5. The freedom of awakening. So, starting right off with section 1, the path to joy, seeking the absolute.
You know, every single one of us is on this universal search for peace, right? But to actually escape the exhaustive, endless frenzy of chasing material things, we need a specific path, a path of absolute knowledge. Verse 25 lays out the absolute foundational pillars for this. It says, some seekers see the Atman in the mind through meditation. Some others see through the cultivation of knowledge, still others through working without desire. So reaching this absolute knowledge, it requires a unique, active blend, physical action, deep meditation, and intellectual cultivation. And that brings us directly to the core of this whole process, the 5 distinct steps. It's a complete, sequential journey. Step 1, dedicating action. Step 2, refining the mind. Then we dive deep into the 3 stages of knowledge, which are Step 3, inquiry, Step 4, introspection, and Step 5, inner transformation. It's a total progression from dealing with the physical outside world right into profound internal realization. Moving on to section 2, refining action in mind, the preparation.
Now, before we can even begin to grasp the absolute truth, we have to prep ourselves. So we start with step 1, dedicating action. Basically, instead of working over here and worshiping over there, we literally convert the work itself into worship. This means doing our prescribed daily duties righteously, dedicating those actions, and, here's the crucial part, accepting whatever the result is as a total gift. Look, we all have the intelligence to know good from bad, but it gets completely blinded by our accumulated likes and dislikes. By acting without being controlled by those personal preferences, we reduce their blinding influence. We finally free ourselves from that endless frenzy of material pursuit.
Once we've actually stabilized our physical actions, we move to the second step. This shifts our entire focus to pure mental action. And the best part? It only requires a small portion of our day, so we can totally do it while still living our normal, busy lives. It involves 4 specific practices to progressively refine our mind. We're talking relaxation meditation, concentration meditation, expansion meditation, and value meditation. Why does this matter? Well, this mental refinement perfectly aligns the 5 distinct layers of our human personality. That's the physical, the physiological, the psychological, the intellectual, and the spiritual layers. As we do this, we gain complete control over our sense organs. Slowly but surely, we shift away from pure self-centeredness and just thinking about our immediate circle, and our awareness completely expands outward to the absolute vastness of creation. Which perfectly sets up section 3, the 3 stages of knowledge, uncovering the truth. Okay, so our mind is refined, it's prepared. Now we enter step 3, systematic inquiry. These final 3 steps are entirely focused on gaining and truly solidifying the absolute knowledge of Brahman. Step 3 is an open-minded inquiry into the Holy Scriptures. But here's the catch. The only way to truly understand this text is to listen to a competent teacher. And we have to listen without filtering the message through all our past beliefs. During this step, we actually need to carve out quality time, step away from our usual material pursuits, and focus entirely on understanding the central message. And wow, this brings us to step 4, introspection. Suddenly, we are staring at a massive gap in our understanding. I mean, what we experience every single day is that we are mortal, we feel limited, and we are suffering. But what we literally just understood from our inquiry is that our true nature is immortal, totally joyful, and that we are Brahma. We have to reconcile this massive difference through deep, deep reflection. We need to raise questions, discuss them, until we have absolutely 0 doubts left and no thirst for further knowledge. Finally, we reach the 5th step, inner transformation. Because even when we logically know the world is an illusion, man, those old habits still pull at us, right? Think of a lemon pickle. Even after you do all the prep work, if you taste the lemon immediately, it just tastes like a raw, sour lemon. It literally has to soak in the oil for a long time before it actually transforms into a pickle. It's exactly the same for us.
Recognizing the truth requires patient meditation. We have to fully internalize the knowledge so it can permanently overwrite our accumulated preferences. All right, on to section 4, the observer and observed, the ultimate vision. Let's see how all of this builds into the absolute core revelation of the Gita, distinguishing between the eternal witness and the temporary world around us. To get this, let's use the analogy of a heated iron ball. Think about it. Fire is super hot, but it doesn't actually have a shape. An iron ball, on the other hand, has a round shape, but on its own, it's definitely not hot. But when you heat that iron ball, it becomes a glowing fireball. Now, it is incredibly easy to get confused and mix up their properties, right? To think the fire itself has a round shape. Well, similarly, we mistakenly combine the immortal consciousness with our mortal body. So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding this definition. Our true reality is made of two distinct things interacting. First, the observer. This is the immortal, unmoving consciousness, the Atman. It never, ever dies. Then there's the observed. This is the inert, constantly changing body and mind complex. So all the actions, the aging, the suffering we go through, that all belongs exclusively to the observed body. Our true self is merely the silent, witnessing observer. Because we constantly confuse the two, we suffer from what's called the wrong vision. When we just look out at the diverse world and see multiple, completely separate entities and results, we are absolutely bound to suffer. But the right vision? That vision recognizes that all these diverse, changing beings actually originate from one single reality, Brahman. When we really understand that the very same observer appears as all living beings and inert objects, our problems, they just dissolve instantly. And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, the freedom of awakening, joyful living. Let's bring this structured journey to a close by exploring the incredible benefits and the profound peace that come from actually gaining this absolute knowledge. Think about a tragic news story, something like a plane crash. When we hear about it on the news, sure, it's sad, but it remains just a distant news item. However, the exact second we realize someone close to us was on that plane, boom, it becomes intense, personal suffering. Why? It's all because of attachment. Our mind is hurt solely by its own attachments. Correct vision eliminates this self-inflicted pain entirely, because we no longer wrongly attach our eternal identity to this temporary world. I absolutely love this next analogy. Picture a little bee landing on a lovely flower. If the bee just sits right at the very tip, it can joyfully drink the nectar all day. But if it gets greedy and climbs deep inside the flower, it's going to get stuck, and that is when the suffering begins. This so beautifully illustrates exactly how we should interact with the world. The world is a lovely place, meant for joyful entertainment, but the absolute moment we start depending on it as the foundation for our ultimate peace and security, that's when we get stuck. So what does this awakened state actually look like in practice? Well, it looks like the sun, which freely illuminates the whole world without ever expecting a single thing in return. It looks like space, which accommodates absolutely everything, whether it's a stunning high-rise building or just a terrible smell, without ever being polluted by them. And it's like a dream. Imagine knowing, with absolute complete certainty, that you are dreaming while you are still inside the dream. You are completely 100% unaffected by the events unfolding around you. Which leaves us with this final, crucial thought to ponder. If life is simply a dream, a grand illusion created by the interaction of the immortal observer and the changing observed, are you finally ready to wake up and actually enjoy it? By practically applying these 5 steps, from dedicating your everyday actions to fully internalizing absolute knowledge, you can step entirely out of your self-created suffering. You can embrace true, joyful living. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.